Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back with another video, and today I'm bringing you guys my final review for Transformers Cyberverse as the third and final act of Season 3. Of course, this review is gonna be full of spoilers, so I do recommend that you go ahead and watch Cyberverse first if you don't want to be spoiled. I've got a lot to talk about, so sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchasing some merch on my Teespring store today. Okay, so this act begins like some time after the Quintesson arc, and the Autobots and Decepticons have split up Cybertron into two separate territories, and there's a huge barrier fence between them. And Clobber is now an Autobot, despite her being friends with Lockdown still. Bumblebee is in his brand new Cybertronian hover car mode, and he sneaks over the barrier into Decepticon territory to find Windblade. And despite some antics, he's still able to retrieve her, but her mind is completely shattered. We learn that in order to put her mind back together, Bumblebee has to begin a new quest over several episodes to find these pieces. So it's like a big giant fetch quest, kind of like Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. In the process, he comes across several interesting locales and new characters to boot. We first meet Thunderhall, an Autobot knight who transforms into a wolf in a mythological Crystal City. Now, of course, the old school Transformers fans are going to recognize that in G1, Crystal City was guarded by Omega Supreme and then destroyed by the Constructicons. We also meet Wild Wheel, who was an Autobot aboard the Ark, and if you recall, back in Cyberverse Season 1, some of the Autobot stasis pods fell out of the Ark before the ship crashed on Earth. We know one of them was Grimlock and another was Bumblebee. But instead of the Dinobots, we get a brand new Wild West themed character who now has a grudge with Optimus Prime. I have to say I like this episode, but it was kind of shuffled to the side for an overall arching plot of the season. Then comes the episode that tributes the late great crocodile hunter Steve Irwin. Now, sorry if I'm butchering that Australian accent, but Meteor Fire is clearly a reference to him, and he's really cool. But his partner, a female version of Cosmos, was captured by an alien entity, which turns out to be powered by a fragment of Windblade. And you can see what I mean by Simon's Quest. It's like hitting the orbs with a stake. Then they revisit the Rapungus creatures seen during the first part of Season 3, and they're involved in this like class structure problem. This one was pretty funny with Grimlock, as he had like a moment with like was like very similar to Transformers the movie when he meets Rapungus in that episode. Then in the episode, Ratchet and Rack and Ruin brings these two Autobots into Decepticon territory in order to rescue Jetfire, who was hit by a beam by Astrotrain. And they decide to make this giant space bus huge this time around. He's in robot mode, he's now as big as his shuttle mode instead of like mass shifting down into a different size. We eventually learn that Decepticons are planning something big to do with Unspace, which plays a huge part in the finale. I want to make a note here about some of the other Autobots, including Optimus, because they take a major backseat to the overarching plot. Hot Rod is back to his red, and he's just kind of like in the background. Perceptor is now the bartender at McAdams. RC is just kind of there. But Chromia does get a little bit of showtime. She gets to spend some time with Bumblebee in some of the adventures, including the one where they introduce a new Autobot named Hammerstrike, who transforms appropriately into a hammerhead shark, and he's from the Argon Sea, and he's being manipulated by the Dweller. Now, if that name sounds familiar to G1 fans, it should. Originally, there was an ancient vampiric creature created by the Quintessons in the depths of Cybertron, but in Cyberverse, he's a Titan, and he's using Windblade's powers to mind control all within him. But they, of course, get away, but it's still an interesting throwback. We also learn the big secret about McAdam. He is, in fact one of the original 13 Transformers, Alchemist Prime. I really should do a video on the Primes in the future. He reveals that the matrix of leadership that Megatron currently possesses needs to be destroyed, and it holds the final fragment of Windblade. In the final 2 episodes, we find out why. The reason Megatron was able to help the Quintesson threat in the last arc was because he went to another universe and stole the matrix from a tyrant escaping inside Astrotrain. This tyrant, the other one, is as he's known, who's a version of Megatron who's even more evil. And that universe is a splinter timeline in which killed Optimus Prime years ago, and he made an army of Decepticons and was also ready for the Quintessons when they arrived. The Autobots break into Decepticon territory and try to destroy it, but the other one arrives with his perfect Decepticons. Fans of the IDW comics will find that these perfect Decepticons look very familiar, as they're straight copies of the Decepticon Tarn. He kills this universe's Megatron and reclaims the Matrix. Optimus tries to stop him, but it's Windblade from within the alternate Matrix and that destroys it, which allows Optimus Prime to gain the advantage. Astrotrain then comes in and takes the other one to OnSpace to suffer for all of time. The episode then ends with what appears to be an Autobot and Decepticon truce as they celebrate Windblade's return. And then it just ends. It's a happy ending, but I mean, it's like so abrupt, you don't even get a chance to take it in. It's very reminiscent of Animated's ending, and it kind of felt like it could be a lot more to like really give you an ending, but it's just now that this version of Transformers is over. And with that is the ending of this Transformers series, and this timeline for that matter. Overall, I mean, I enjoyed Transformers Cyberverse. I mean, the first season was kind of The show got better as it progressed. Season 3 was clearly the strongest, and that Quintesson arc was awesome. This final arc, though, it kind of felt rushed. It's as if like they had like another episode or 2 to really flesh out the story where they needed to, but they were like pressed for time and they just had to like give us an ending and just end it right where it was. You know, but then the thing is like this is another Transformers universe that comes to an end. And that's kind of the issue here. Like all these Transformers cartoons that have ended like after 3 seasons, it's like reboot after reboot, you know, over the last 20 years of Transformers cartoons, and Cyberverse is no different. But the thing is that Cyberverse, I think, is going to be very memorable for a lot of fans. Even though it was very much like a Happy Meal version of Transformers overall, I think, like, again, I think it was really enjoyable. And by the end of it, it was like, all right, I can see that as like a you know, an ending, like where like, you know, you don't need to continue the story any forward. But, you know, at the same time, you know, some people may or may not have enjoyed Cyberverse at all. But I want to know what you guys think. What was your opinion on the final arc of Cyberverse Season 3? And what's your overall thoughts on the show as a whole? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe, and check out my other videos as well. I've got many more Transformers news, discussions, reviews, just like this one coming soon. So stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.